I gotta tell you, it was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
What more do I even really have to say? I think my guy Homelander here pretty much summed it up for me. This trailer was so damn good, and it did everything that I needed it to do to be fully in for the show. We are not going to waste any time right now, and we are going to get right into the breakdown and me giving my thoughts on it. Guys, if you enjoyed this trailer, and if you are ready for the first season to drop in a month now, give this video a like, and let's see if we can hit a goal of 50 likes on the video. Comment down below all your thoughts on the trailer as we go through my commentary on it. My fellow benders of all four nations, welcome to Uncle Iroh's Tea Shop, the Jasmine Dragon. Find yourself a seat, grab some jasmine tea, and enjoy the video. Alright, so like I said, we're not going to waste any time here, so to give my personal thoughts, again, I loved this trailer. For me, the one thing that I needed this trailer to do was give me a look at the dialogue and how characters act. That was number one for me, obviously, and I also wanted to see some more scenes of action and how the bending looked, and I can tell you right now, it perfected it beautifully. This is going to be one of the most CGI heavy shows we've ever seen, and so far it's looking like it's going to be put to good use with regards to the bending and all the scenes of the places that we are going to be going to, as that's going to be also pretty heavy on CGI. I really like how they've crafted this world through live action based off both trailers that we've seen so far. Again though, like I said, I really needed to see what the dialogue was like, and I also needed to see if they were going to pronounce names right as well, and they managed to do that as well with perfection. Aang's name is said right, Avatar is said correctly, and then also, they did give us a sneak peek at some parts of the humor for the show because, of course, the original is known for a lot of its humor, and so far from a live-action perspective, it looks like they are nailing it down. I definitely think a lot of people have to understand that there is a potential possibility that this live-action version will not be as funny simply because of the fact that there is a limitation on what live-action can do with some of those comedic bits that the animated version has the ability to go through with because it was an animated version. I think people need to be able to treat this version and its humor for what it is and separate the two as well, and so we'll see if that will happen when the show drops. To now go through it scene by scene, I want to start at the beginning with the first shot of the Fire Nation fleet in what looks like the waters of the Northern Water Tribe just outside of it. Everyone here knows that this takes place at the very end of Book 1, and it's very clearly obvious that this is where the scene is taking place, given the background and how many ships are there. It also starts off with some commentary from a character who did commentary in the first trailer who I'm still trying to decipher who it is, and my best guess is that it's either Roku or it's Monk Gyatso. It's a character who has a close connection to Aang, so that's why I think that way. We get a shot of Appa flying through the tree lines of a mountainous area, another one of the same shots of the Southern Air Temple being attacked during the war, which is followed by, and I presume that this is him, Firelord Sozen, firebending against an air nomad. I wonder if this air nomad is Monk Gyatso specifically. I think that that would be a pretty cool tie-in for who killed him, and while my knowledge of the lore behind this particular battle is not all there, I think this would be a pretty cool way to go about it if this is a new thing to add into the lore. Of course, we know Sozen is the one who planned out all these attacks, but it's not known to me if he was actually involved in a lot of them, so I hope somebody can confirm that for me down below in the comments. This of course was then followed by the first thing that made me lose my mind, which of course was the correct and right pronunciation of the name Aang, as the person commentating says that the world needs him, which is then followed by his iceberg shooting its beam of light into the sky just like it did in the original. Sokka and Katara look up to see Aang standing there glowing, and man, that is a great shot. Perfect execution of that particular scene. After the Netflix logo goes by, we get an introduction to what seems like the use of the music that we will hear in the show, and I love that this theme is coming back so much, and it's because of the fact that Avatar: The Last Airbender credits have such great music. I think that this is such a great way to use it. This is a very interesting way of using it with the drums and the beat, which gets you even more hyped when you are watching this trailer. We get a shot of the Fire Nation outside, and then a new shot of Firelord Ozai being surrounded by what looks like either people who are a part of the military or just regular Fire Nation citizens. Since it is in his throne room, my best guess is that these people are a part of his military. We get a new shot of Azula firing an arrow, and this is one of the big changes that I'm very curious to see what this version of the show is going to do. They are very clearly incorporating this character into the show a lot more earlier on than what they did in the original, with new scenes and potentially new background to her character. I honestly don't mind this that much, but I just hope it's done well, because this is potentially actually going to be taking away from some of the stuff that we could have seen be adapted from the original that's not going to be adapted. We get a shot of our three main characters talking to somebody in a village, and an explosion happens behind them, and to my recollection, I don't think I can pinpoint where this scene is taking place, so I wonder if anybody can help me out with this one. We get another new shot of a tree branch on fire falling in front of a small Earth Nation convoy. We know this because of the fact that Zuko is the one who did it, and they are riding ostrich horses, which then also leads me to believe that this is the scene where Zuko is rescuing Iroh from capture. Funny enough, as I'm scrolling through Twitter writing the script for this video, apparently a new image was released online of them riding in a carriage under a horse ostrich, so that's pretty cool to look at. We then get another new look at the Southern Air Temple in ruins as our three main leads are walking through it, and I gotta be honest with you guys, I am so curious to know how they did these shots. There seems to be a combination of the use of the volume technology, but also I would not be surprised if a lot of this stuff was green screened. I think it is a lot more from the volume, and so if that's the best way to capture these places, then that's just how you gotta do it. I think it would be pretty difficult to be able to practically create all these locations, even though I have a good feeling that some of them probably were built for real, but just not in large scales. We get some dialogue from Katara saying that the world is going to need Aang, and so far the dialogue that we get from her sounds pretty good. Every time someone says his name correctly, it just makes me even more happy. We then get an awesome shot of them recreating the scene where Aang is riding on a ball of air and running into the statue, insinuating that they are bringing in the humor because this is a very funny scene in the original, which is then followed by Sokka doing his thing through his version of humor, which is a lot of sarcasm. I'm really glad that they are trying to bring this in because, again, this humor is one of the best and most important parts of the original animated version, when not only giving us scenes of levity, but also developing the characters as well and making you like them. We then get some interesting looks at the Fire Nation, Zuko and Iroh, and again, I think they are nailing all of this. We see Zuko's ship, Fire Nation soldiers, Zuko saying that it's his destiny, which again is implying that it's his destiny to capture the Avatar, and we know that one pretty well, and I think the actor playing him says it convincingly. We then get a look at our boy Iroh firebending, and even though in this particular scene it looks a little slow, that could just be the way that the trailer is sped up, or in this case, sped down. This of course is then the same scene where he was captured by the Earth Nation soldiers, and Zuko had to get him back. The only difference this time is that it looks like he is not almost naked, and that he does have some clothes on, and from a certain perspective, I can understand why, say, someone like the actor might not want to do that, so this is not that big of a deal, so I would really hope that nobody complains about this small detail. We get a new shot of Firelord Ozai standing over Zuko, as this is of course the scene where he is in an Agni Kai with him, and he got his face burnt. When I broke down the original trailer where this same scene was showcased, I made the mistake of thinking that this was the Agni Kai between Zuko and Commander Zhao. Daniel Dae Kim as Ozai looks perfect. I mean, seriously, he looks so good. He's got the build and he's got the look down great, and I hope he can keep that for the next several years until we get to the final season. The next scene is of Aang giving his first few lines of dialogue saying he's not someone who can stop the Fire Nation and he doesn't want that responsibility, and this is a great execution of that line because through book one he establishes that quite a lot, and I think this actor delivered the line very well. As you can see, he's got the emotion in his eyes as well as when he's hugging Appa. I also just like the fact that he sounds like a kid and he sounds like someone who could portray that character in a live action version. I saw someone mention this the other day and I'm forgetting where, but I didn't think about it until now, but I am hoping that Netflix can greenlight the next two seasons quickly because animated versus live action is super different with regards to the aging of actors. The voice actors for the original didn't have to worry about their voices, but here the actors do have to worry about how they age. I don't know how old this actor is who is playing Aang, but he's not going to stay young forever, and you have to make sure that you keep his young age look through till the next two seasons. So Netflix, if you can please make sure you greenlight those next two seasons as quick as possible before he becomes older and sort of doesn't look the part anymore, that would be very nice. I really like this next scene here, which is Sokka giving a monologue about how he and Katara and Appa have his back and that he doesn't need anything more, which is followed by some humor, of course, of Momo landing on his head and with Katara and Aang laughing at it. I really like this scene, you guys, I really do. It just feels so sweet and true to how it was like in the original. These are kids after all, and I feel like it's really giving off that vibe that it will resonate with kids, so I hope to see more of this when the show drops in order to help build their chemistry. I love this next shot as we get a first footage look at the character June and her Shirshu, and again, I'm very curious to see how this is going to look in live action. I think they nailed both of these characters down so well from the books. Again, I'm just going through Twitter as I'm writing the script for this video, and the Netflix Geeked account released a new image of them in a more wider shot. This looks pretty good, I have to say. Speaking of nailing down the looks, let's talk about this next shot of Hei Bai. My god, man, they absolutely nailed this. This spirit looks honestly more menacing and scary in the live-action version than it does in the animated one, and this is only of one shot. I know I might be over-exaggerating a little bit on that, but I just can't help but notice how well they got that design down, at least from the monster version. I would still like to see what the panda bear version looks like, but there's no doubt in my mind I don't think they are going to mess up on that look. We get some new looks at what looks like Kyoshi Island, which is being attacked by Commander Zhao of all people. Again, this is a new change to the live-action version, which I'm very curious to see why they did this, and why they didn't want to bring Zuko in for this. In the original, he's the one who attacks, and the action here in this particular sequence also looks very good. I have to say, just in case I don't mention it again, I think the action, at least in this trailer, looks great from an in-camera perspective. I think anytime that you are shooting action, you have to make sure that it is visible and for people to be able to see with no overly edited cuts. So far, it looks like they are nailing that down as well. I love this brand new shot of the city of Omashu as Aang is flying through on his glider with somebody else, and this is also another big change that I'm curious to see why they are doing it. If you notice closely and look at it, he is flying with Teo, the Mechanist's son, so that means that they are going to be removing the Northern Air Temple episode from being explored, and they are just combining that here with the first Omashu episode. From a technical perspective, I can understand why they are doing this, because the Northern Air Temple episode, where we first meet those characters, is one of the more heavy episodes on action, and I think they probably saw that the CGI budget on it would have gone way overboard, and so maybe they just said, let's combine it in with this one. I'm not saying that that's the reason why they did it, but I'll be very curious to see how these new scenes are mixed together with each other. We get a shot of Aang hugging it out with the group, but then we get a brand new look at a character I was very curious to see, and that was the Blue Spirit, who, of course, if anybody here knows the original, you know exactly who that is. This is the episode where our group of characters gets sick, and Aang has to go and find medicine for them, but only to be captured by the Fire Nation and Commander Zhao. The Blue Spirit comes in and rescues him, played by Zuko, and I think they nailed down his look as well with that mask. Now let's talk about these next several scenes, because my god, man, if there's one thing that has now been boosted for me going into the show even more, it is the anticipation for what the action is going to be like. We get some shots of Aang and Appa flying through the Fire Nation ship and landing on it. Aang is airbending against Fire Nation troops in the Southern Water Tribe at the very beginning of the season. Sokka throws his boomerang over Aang to hit a Fire Nation soldier in the head, which I love. We then get a first look at the Omashu episode where Aang is dueling it out against Bumi, and just from the very small few seconds that we get of Bumi, it looks like they also nailed that character down. The action in which Aang is participating in the scene also looks amazing with regards to his moves and blocking all the rocks. Then we see Katara doing her thing with waterbending against, and I was able to clock it in a single frame of Zuko in the garb that he is wearing when he captures Aang during the season finale. I think that this is the place that he takes him to when Katara, Sokka, and Princess Yue go to rescue him. So this is a pretty cool thing to see. This is then followed up by a first look at footage of Jet bashing away firebending with his hook swords. Again, this looks great, and just like most of the action I've seen so far, it is in camera. Thank you to whoever worked on the show for doing this, because that was so important. The very final shot in the trailer of action that we get is of Aang fighting off against Zuko when he comes to the Southern Water Tribe, and I'm sure that interaction is going to be interesting, and I can't wait to see how it starts off the show. Finally, the last shot is of Aang elevating and going into the Avatar state. I can't exactly say where he's doing this, and because if you remember the original show, in book 1, there's only a couple of times where he does go into the Avatar state, but again, I think they even nailed it down how that looks. The Avatar state is going to be one of the more interesting things that I'm curious to see how they execute. The finale in particular, when the Fire Nation is attacking the Northern Water Tribe, is for sure going to be one of the more interesting things I think that we will be able to see in the live action sense, knowing that the fact that it is literally transforming into a giant koi fish looking monster. Like I said, the CGI on the show is going to be a massive thing, so prepare yourself for that. And that is where the trailer ends, giving us that February 22nd release date, as we already knew this information. And again, guys, I can't tell you how ecstatic I am now to go into the show and watch it. So far, from all the first look images we've seen, all the footage that the trailers have given us, and from the way that it is executed, the dialogue in the action, everything has looked so good to me, and I'm going into this with high hopes and positive energy. Again, I know we haven't seen everything with regards to certain locations, other characters that have yet to be revealed, certain moments of dialogue and humor between characters, and we'll all be able to see that together, but for right now, with what we have gotten, I'm all in. This looks like the adaptation that so many people have been waiting for. I myself have not watched the live action adaptation of One Piece that Netflix did, considering I've not watched that anime and didn't know if I was interested in it enough, but I know everybody says that that was a great adaptation, and it looks like this show could be following in its footsteps from Netflix. We've got one more month to go, and I just hope that we can speed this process up because this is now becoming one of my most anticipated television shows that I'm going to be watching in 2024. The original is my favorite show of all time, and this is why I created this channel, because I was so hyped to see a part of my childhood get adapted, and I can't wait to go on a journey with you all when it drops. I might potentially be making a everything you missed in the trailer type of video for tomorrow, so I hope you guys will stay tuned for that. Other than that, I've got nothing more to say other than to let you all know that this is now time for you to give me your thoughts in the comments, because I really want to have a dialogue with everyone here about the trailer. What did you think of it? Did you like it? Are you still a little concerned about some things? Please do this in a respectful manner in the comments and with good communication. Drop the video a like if you enjoyed the trailer and if you enjoyed my commentary on it, and subscribe to the channel if you are new here, and turn on the notification bell to be ready for when I upload again. I've been having a lot of good success on this channel lately, and so I hope we can keep it up. On your way out of Uncle Iroh's tea shop, be sure to let him know how much you appreciate his jasmine tea and his words of wisdom that come with it. I hope everyone here has a wonderful rest of the day, and I will see you soon.